What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this, we have why India sending all its weapons to this tiny country. Who y'all sending weapons to over there? Before we jump in and find out, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Also, if you like to support the channel by becoming a member, all you gotta do is hit the join button and receive your exclusive benefits. Let's get right to it.
There is a tiny Christian country that has been under constant attack, losing over 1 million of its people and forcing 2 million more to flee their homeland. But this isn't the Middle East. This is the small, often overlooked Caucasus. And here's the shocker. While Russia, this country's so-called longtime protector, stood back and did nothing, India stepped in. Not with words, but with weapons, missiles, radars, and artillery worth billions of dollars. Why is India, thousands of kilometers away, sending its most powerful weapons to a country most people can't even find on a map? What is this country? What risks is New Delhi taking, and what secret game is really being played here? That's where our story begins. To understand why India is sending weapons here, we need to look at this country's painful history. For centuries, it has been caught between empires: Persian, Ottoman, Russian, and Turkish, all of them carving pieces of it away. The result? A nation that once stretched far and wide was reduced to a small, vulnerable strip of land. And the suffering didn't stop there. In the early 20th century, it faced one of the darkest chapters in human history. Over 1 million of its people massacred and more than 2 million forced to flee. Entire families scattered, leaving behind villages that would never recover. This tiny Christian nation should have had protection. Its survival depended on its powerful ally to the north, Russia. And for decades, that relationship looked unshakable. But when war came knocking in recent years, that ally did nothing. And in just
So Russia was the Caucasus. 2 million people being displaced from their home is absolutely insane. Like that's truly mind blowing and bonkers. But it sounds like Russia was supposed to be their protector, their guardian. And for so long, Russia was. The relationship was good, but when push came to shove, when war came a knocking, Russia was nowhere to be found, and this little nation was left vulnerable. And it sounds like who stepped in to help out? India. Let's get back to it.
one day, this country lost the very land it fought for generations to keep. So who filled the void Russia left behind? That's where India enters the picture, armed to the teeth. But why would India get involved in such a faraway, bloody conflict?
The new protector.
The country we're talking about is Armenia, a tiny Christian nation surrounded by powerful neighbors, Turkey, Azerbaijan, and Iran. For decades, it relied almost entirely on Russia for its defense. In fact, more than 90% of Armenia's weapons once came from Moscow. But when the 2020 and 2023 wars erupted in Nagorno-Karabakh, Russia didn't intervene. Moscow's silence was deafening, and that betrayal changed everything. Armenia realized it could no longer count on its so-called protector. It needed a new lifeline, fast, and surprisingly, it found one in India. But why India? Why not Europe, the US, or even China? In 2022, Armenia signed deals worth over $250 million with New Delhi. Soon after, more contracts followed, pushing the total close to $1 billion. These weren't symbolic shipments either. India delivered Akash air defense system, Pinaka multi-barrel rocket launchers, Swati counter-battery radars, anti-tank missiles, and was preparing to send up to 170 artillery guns. For a nation as small as Armenia, this was massive firepower. Weapons that could blunt Azerbaijan's advances, counter Turkish drones, and restore some balance on the battlefield. But India wasn't just playing humanitarian savior. It had its own strategic reasons. And they point directly at one word: Turkey. Turkey openly backs Pakistan's stance on Kashmir, calling it occupied territory. For New Delhi, that's crossing a red line. So every weapon India ships to Armenia is not just about defending a small ally, it's about striking back at Turkey's ambitions.
I like it. I like it because I feel like you got to understand, like, yeah, India's helping out the Caucasus, or not? It's helping out Armenia. Yeah, they're sending the weapons. Yeah, they're doing this, and yeah, a percentage of it may be out of the goodness of your heart, but it's a mutually beneficial relationship, right? By helping them, you're helping yourself. Kind of keep eyes over there on Turkey, supplying Armenia with all these weapons. It kind of hurting Turkey in a way, and so uh, India's doing an absolutely freaking incredible job in not only helping Armenia but also helping themselves.
And Turkey's ambitions are bigger than most realize. Its dream of a pan-Turkic empire, a land corridor stretching from Turkey through Azerbaijan all the way to Central Asia, goes straight through Armenia's territory, the so-called Zangezur corridor. If Turkey and Azerbaijan succeed, Armenia could lose even more land. And for India, that would mean giving Ankara, and by extension Islamabad, a dangerous victory. So India isn't just helping Armenia, it's also part of a strategy to defend its own sovereignty. India isn't sending weapons directly. There's a secret route through another country, and it changes the game entirely. Here's the twist. India's weapons didn't always travel straight to Armenia. They had to pass through Iran. That's right. The very country often seen as Russia's partner against the West was quietly helping New Delhi arm Armenia. Convoys rolled through Iran and crossed the border at Norduz. Why would Tehran, usually cautious about meddling in Moscow's backyard, allow this? Because Iran had its own reasons. On its northern border lies Azerbaijan, a country tightly linked with Israel. And Israel isn't just a friend of Baku, it supplied nearly 70% of Azerbaijan's weapons before the 2020 war. So for Tehran, an armed and resilient Armenia isn't just about helping a neighbor, it's about blocking Israel's influence from creeping any further north of its borders. But this fragile alignment wasn't going to last forever. By April 2024, Iran suddenly blocked the shipments. Why? Most likely pressure from Moscow. Russia may not have defended Armenia during its wars, but that doesn't mean it wants to see India or any outside power take its place. For Putin, the Caucasus is non-negotiable. Too much Turkish influence would mean NATO's reach creeping closer. Too much Indian influence could encourage Armenia to drift away from Moscow entirely. Either way,
that's crazy. You don't want to come and protect me in my time of need. When war comes a knocking, you're not going to save me, but you are going to stop the country that did save me from creating a good relationship with me. It's insane. It's right. Where were you when we needed you? Fighting your own war. Who had her backs? India. We can't trust y'all no more. And that's just how it is, Russia.
Kremlin risked losing control of what it considers its backyard. So Iran slammed the door shut. The secret route was gone, leaving Armenia stuck in the middle of giants tugging in different directions. But even then, the chessboard was far from stable. Because while Moscow worried about influence, Turkey and Azerbaijan pressed ahead with their boldest dream, the Zangezur corridor. If they succeed, Armenia will be cut in half, and Turkey will gain a direct land bridge to Azerbaijan and Central Asia. For Ankara, this is the pathway to a pan-Turkic empire. For Baku, it's a historic victory. For Armenia, it's an existential nightmare. And for India, it's a red line, because every step Turkey takes in the Caucasus strengthens Pakistan's hand against New Delhi. In other words, Armenia's fate isn't just Armenia's problem anymore. It's tied to India's rivalry with Pakistan, Turkey's grand ambitions, Russia's shrinking power, and Iran's security fears. But there's still one more player shaping this conflict from the shadows. That player is Israel. Its support for Azerbaijan isn't just about arms sales. It's about containing its greatest enemy, Iran. With a strong Azerbaijan on Tehran's northern border, Israel gains leverage, and the U.S. gains another foothold near the Caspian. This is what makes the situation so explosive. Armenia's collapse would open the door for a pro-Israel, pro-Turkey corridor surrounding Iran and shrinking Russia's sphere. And that's why India's weapons shipments, though small compared to superpower aid, matter so much. They're not just artillery and rockets. They're a message. India is telling the world we're willing to project power even in Russia's old backyard, even against Turkey's empire dreams. So the
See,
question is, will India's gamble pay off, or will it drag New Delhi into a fight far bigger than it ever expected? So here we are, a tiny Christian nation fighting to survive in the middle of giants, and India stepping in with weapons that could change the balance of power. But with Russia pulling back, Turkey pushing forward, Iran blocking supply lines, and Israel watching from the shadows, the future of Armenia is anything but certain. And here's the truth. Putting together stories like this takes hours of digging through history, strategy, and sources, because I want you to get the full picture, not just headlines. If you found this video valuable, the best way you can support is simple. Hit the like button and share it with a friend who loves history and geopolitics.
for sure. Y'all also make sure y'all go subscribe to his channel, like it. I'll put his video link as well as his channel link down in the description to make it easy. But yeah, it's just very interesting to kind of see how the world, like who's friends with who's enemies with who has good trade deals, who has bad trade deals, how this country, why this country is sending certain things to this country, how countries use other countries as proxies to be a counterweight to their enemies or to get closer to their enemies, how they stop countries from furthering their ambitions. It's very interesting. The world is just all these world leaders in these countries, it feels like, are just in a constant game of chess. Like everybody trying to be 3 steps ahead. It's crazy when I watch these videos. But that's all we have. I hope y'all enjoy. Please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, check out the next, and I'll see y'all next.